We're here today with Kevin Kelley, and we happen to be right now in Viera, Florida. And my name is Stuart Schlossman from MS Views and News, and we're here to ask Kevin some questions because Kevin runs a large support group here in Brevard County. And I just wanted to ask him, for starters, how long have you been doing this?
This is my 12th year as facilitator of our group. When I originally started, I was a member of the group and took over. We had 65 members in our group, and as of yesterday, we had 546 members now.
Wow. And of those amount of members that you have, how many of those are the actual patient versus percentage-wise approximation?
It's probably 95% of our membership is MS patients, where the other 5% are spouses or other family members.
So caregivers, though, do respond? And
oh, yes. Our group is open to caregivers. They're more than welcome to attend because they're living with the MS just like the MSer is.
So you've been doing this, you said, for this many years, but what got you into wanting to be a support group leader?
Well, my original educational background was in business, and I used to be an auditor for Brevard County when I got sick and had to retire. And when I took over the group, it was kind of floundering, and it wasn't really providing a service that was needed for MS people in the area. So I took it over with the idea that you had to treat it like a business. You had to provide a good service for the people living with MS and educate them and support them. And so that's why I went into it, to help those living with MS, but also make it a viable educational supportive group.
Speaking about that, what do you do to make it so beneficial for the patients, and also how do you get the caregivers to want to come all the time?
Well, you bring in a wide variety of speakers. It's not the same thing. I've had speakers from dealing with MS psychologically to even aromatherapist to dealing with sexuality and disability. A variety of topics, even acupuncturists, herbalists. So it's always a wide variety, a different speaker on a different subject and a different point of view, and keeping a really positive attitude. You can't let a member take over your meeting and make it a downer meeting. You have to keep it a positive attitude. And so that's why we keep it different. And we invite the caregivers to come in and express their opinions as well, because they don't have the MS, but they're still living with the MS.
True. And so since you just brought up caregivers, let me skip to this a moment. Do you do any meetings specifically designed for caregivers? We
haven't had one in a while, but we have had it. But our meetings, especially like the ones dealing with MS psychologically,
right.
When you're dealing with MS psychologically, the caregivers are having issues dealing with it as well as the MSers are.
So what do you tell a caregiver, like especially a newly diagnosed patient comes to your group and they don't know what to expect, and they might be thinking the worst of seeing patients that are advanced with their disease, but what do you do to speak with the caregivers and the patients at that time?
Well, a lot of times when you have a newly diagnosed, they expect to walk into a room full of walkers and wheelchairs, and it's not that way. With the advancements of the MS treatments and so forth, the degradation is less now than it used to be. But caregivers, I talk with them and express to them, it's not a death sentence to have MS. That there is progression. There's some do progress quicker than others, but each person is different, and you just have to deal with it day by day. And there are resources out there in your community that they can turn to receive help and assistance to help the person that they're caregiving.
So I've heard that you have like different functions going on. You have lunch groups and you have dinner get-togethers. Are these all different types of self-help groups? And I was saying support groups before, but I know it's supposed to be a self-help group.
Self-help group. Well, not really. We really think that social events are just as important as meetings. When you walk in the room when you're having an MS day, and there's 6 or 8 or 10, 12 people there that have MS, and you can walk in and say, I'm having an MS day, and they understand what you're going through. And so it's just nice to commemorate with and be with others that have MS and understand what you're going through. Matter of fact, we just had one of those at lunch today.
Did you?
Yeah.
And what did you discuss there?
Oh, we sat around and talked about the European market today.
Okay.
But it was...
so it's not always about MS.
No, but we also talked about the new stem cell treatment that just one of our members just went through, and we discuss all sorts of topics. We don't limit to just MS-related topics.
Okay. There are other support groups in this area, I would think? Self-help
Actually,
groups?
Brevard County, we are the only group in all of Brevard County. We cover Melbourne, got a chapter there, a chapter in Cocoa, and a small chapter in Titusville.
Okay, and Brevard County is a very, very long county.
72 miles long from end to end.
Right. So there are a few big groups over in like the Orlando region, which isn't that far from here. But how do your groups differ from what they're doing over there?
I've never been to their meetings, but there was a group in this area, and they were kind of a complaint group where they sat around and complained about their MS. And we don't allow that. We're not a complaint group. We kind of keep it a positive, educational, and supportive group. If you want to talk about your issues, we'll sit down and talk with you and see if we can find an answer. But we don't sit around in our meetings and just rehash what you're going through.
Right. When you have patients that come in that have like new symptoms, new ailments, and they might feel that they're the only ones experiencing this, how do you comfort them to know that there are others, or that this is part of what happens with them with MS?
Well, we do have occasionally 2-3 times a year what we call the open meeting, where we can just openly discuss any topics. But if they want to discuss it at not an open meeting, they can either email me a question, and I can email the group, and we get responses back, and I forward those responses on to the person that posted the question. And that way it keeps them anonymous, and they can ask any type of question where I don't care what it is. I'll forward it on and see what kind of responses we get. And we got a couple email addresses for neurologists that we can post them the question as well and get some responses as well.
Great. So you have how many meetings a month?
Well, basically 2 meetings a month, one in Melbourne, one in Cocoa. And then our Titusville chapter is every odd month. We have a meeting 4 to 5 times a year up there. It's such a small area that a monthly meeting would not work up there.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that. And I've heard that you do some really spectacular large events. And what would be one or some of these?
Well, our big event is our MS Day at the Brevard Zoo, which is one of the drug companies helped sponsor it, and the MSF is also a sponsor. But we have some guest speakers come in, have a Sunday brunch. Everybody wears orange, and we have the weirdest, wackiest, wildest orange contest to see who got the wildest outfit. And then everybody goes into the zoo, and while you're in the zoo, you ask people, why is everybody wearing orange? And it gives you an opportunity to talk about MS in your community.
Do the animals get upset?
I don't think so. I've never had them complain yet.
Well, the closest thing would probably be an orangutan.
There's one, but he stays over
close to the word orange.
Yeah, he stays over in his little home over there.
Okay.
But we have a good turnout for that. We also had MS Day at the Brevard Zoo where we would buy skybox tickets, and 80, 90 tickets, and there was an elevator to take us right to the seats and so forth. But unfortunately, the Brevard manatees are moving out of the area. So
where are they going?
They're going to Osceola.
Wow. Okay.
So we're losing them. So,
Okay.
But we've been doing that for several years, and we have the mascot comes out, and we have one of our members throw out the first pitch, and it's a really exciting day for us there.
Great, great, great. So you're not running all of this all by yourself.
I have a great, we call our admin committee.
Right.
All I have to do is ask, and they go out and do.
So how many are helping you?
I have about 6 or 7 on our admin committee.
Excellent.
Treasurer, we have a corresponding secretary, we have a social event coordinator, and it's nice to delegate.
Excellent.
A lot
Sounds
of times,
like you have your own little organization going here.
it's just a good group of people that understand what those people living are with MS, and they're willing to spend the time to help support this great group.
That's fantastic. Are any of these in your admin committee not MS patients, or are they all MS patients? Or?
They are all with MS. But I've had people with non-MS, and even one of our facilitators was a non-MSer. But they, like any group, it changes.
Yeah.
And you're always having new faces appear one time or another.
So knowing that we are video recording this, and knowing that others are going to see this, what would you like to do to encourage others that might be watching that are currently not attending? How would you want them to know more about your group?
Well, even if it's not in our group, find a support group in your area, and hopefully they are very supportive and educational. And know that the group is there for you and your caregiver. Education is a great asset into learning about your disease. Education will help you understand what you're going through.
So with any of these new people, though, or other new people, meaning those that might now come to your program, what kind of resources do you provide them, if any?
Well, one of the things we do is record our meetings. They're the audio recordings. That way we keep anonymity. We can record them. And we have a whole library of topics, everything from dealing with MS psychologically to herbalists and so forth. They're all available on CD. And they can request those free of charge, and we mail them to them. So even if they're new to the group, they can still rely on that educational benefits of those CDs, and we can mail them to them free of charge.
Do you have a website or a Facebook page that you would like to announce?
Both. Our webpage is www.cbmsgroup, that's Central Brevard msgroup.org, and our Facebook page is Central Brevard MS Self-Help Group.
It's a little tongue twister you got
Yes.
going there. Yes. So, we look forward, we hope that I'm sure that the local community really looks forward to having you stick around for many more years to come.
Well, I hope to. It depends what MS does and what the future holds for us.
Yes. Well, any other offers, any other information you would like to provide for current members and future members?
The Central Brevard Self-Help Group is here for you. We're a quick story. One lady just got diagnosed. She really walked out to her car, and the first person she called wasn't even her husband. She got my card, and I sat on the phone for 2 hours answering all her questions.
Excellent.
She's in tears and all, and I just spent those 2 hours just walking her through
Right.
her newly diagnosed.
Right.
And
That's good.
that was, you feel like you're a great asset to people when you can help them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I've known you for a number of years, since we even did our first program in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's been at
And
least 10 years, I think.
No, I wish it were, but
Yeah.
no, it's not that far yet. It's amazing, though, that we've only been doing this for 6 years.
Wow, I thought it was longer than that, but you've been doing a great asset for the MS community.
Thank you. Thank you. And we want to thank you very much for giving us your time today. And I think that it's going to benefit a lot of people to know, even if they're not from around here, like you said, if they attend. I mean, a question that I did not ask you: what's the greatest benefit about being or able to attend a self-help support group?
Well, the education and the support. Like I said, what about our social events? is to be able to walk into the room and saying you're having an MS day and the people there understand. I know that each person that has MS is a different flavor. You know, one will have one issue, another, but we're all in the same club. We're all in the same boat. We're all striving to live with MS.
Okay.
And that's always a challenge.
Well, thank you very much for
My
coming
pleasure.
and speaking with us today.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Great.